All right, so this is James Gulliver Hancock. He's an artist, and he and I live in the same town as each other, so we became friends. And he does all sorts of art. He does magazine illustrations, he does laser-cut steel, which you can put in your garden as a sculpture. He does advertisements, all sorts of artistic endeavours. The one I want to talk about today is this book of his called All the Buildings in New York, in brackets, that I've drawn so far. So James spent about 10 years living in New York City, and he drew the buildings that he came across while he was living there. And I love these drawings. They're all different from each other, but they're all distinctly his, and I really like the style that he has. But as a GIS geek, I looked at this and I thought, I wonder if we could see these on a map instead of in a book. And I think I know how to do it, because all these images are labelled by the address. Now, when you think of an artist, you think of a scattered-brained person typically. Well, James is actually very methodical in his thinking. And so luckily for me, all of the images were actually labelled with their address in the file name, whatever.jpg. So what I did was write a script, a Python script. And so I tried a couple of different geocoders. I tried the Nominatim, I tried Google Maps. In fact, the ArcGIS geocoder gave me the best results. So that's the one that I used. Then I wrote a script to go through that folder of JPEGs and go through for each JPEG, take that file name and reformat it. So take out underscores, take out spaces, put the word New York at the end, and basically format it, and then send it as an AJAX call to the geocoder. And I got back the results, and I chucked them into geojson.io to test them out. And there we go, they look great. So I could see that my geocoding was working well. So the next thing I did was turn to my trusty leaflet library, which I love for small projects like this. And as you guys all know, being GIS professionals, when you're working with lots of points, you don't really want to show all the points. You want to use a clusterer so that you're showing them more efficiently. So that's what I did. And here is the result on the map. I found it a bit underwhelming. It's supposed to be all the buildings, but it looks like just a couple of dots. And there's these numbers. What do those numbers mean? I thought back to how it looked when I chucked it in geojson.io, and I thought that's actually less correct, but it's actually more impressive. So the first lesson line was the correct way is not always the right way. Maybe I could do a better job. So this is what I came up with. So when the site first loads, the first thing I wanted you to see was an image, not a map. So there's a couple of random images that load up when you go to the site. There's also a link to buy his book, which you should all do. It's a really good book. Then when we dismiss the pop-up, we get to see the map. And so what I've done is similar to the GeoJSON.io. I've just shown all of those points, and they're all overlapping, but we can see little thumbnails for those images. And I thought that worked better for all the buildings than seeing the clusters. So we'll pan and zoom around, and then we see a tooltip as we go. And I can click on any individual image and see it in a nice big pop-up and get to see the artwork in all of its glory. So pan and zoom on a couple of those different maps, and you can see the images. And of course you can buy, because they're print on demand, all of the images are always in stock. So you can click on any image and then buy it, and then he prints them on demand. So there you go. That was the quick overview of the process. Another little tip here is that I wanted to show bookmarks, so famous landmarks within New York City. In the old days, I would have had to do this manually. Well, we live in the future now. So I went to my trusty friend ChatGPT, and I said, please generate a list of the 10 most popular neighborhoods in New York. I said, please, because it's nice to be polite, even though it's a machine. It doesn't hurt. And so it came back with the 10 popular neighborhoods. Next, I said, can you convert these into JSON? And I didn't say please, because I don't want to suck up. Okay, you don't have to say please every single time. And then it gave me them in a format which I could just plug in directly. So my second lesson is embrace the AI overlords. They're here to help us, and this is the first time I used ChatGPT in a project. I've since used it loads more. So if you haven't already, give it a try. So there's the summary. I encourage you to go to allthebuildingsinnewyork.com, buy the book, buy a print, and that's the tech I used. Thank you.